This is the Enchiridion by Epictetus.
Chapter 1. Some things are within our power, and some things are not. Within our power are our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions. In short, everything that is our own concern. Beyond our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our position. In short, everything that is not our own concern. The things within our power are by nature free, unrestrained, and unobstructed. The things beyond our power are weak, dependent, restricted, and foreign to us. Remember then, that if you treat things that are naturally dependent as though they were free, and claim as your own what belongs to others, you will be obstructed, you will grieve, you will be troubled, and you will find fault with both gods and people. But if you claim as your own only what truly is your own, and accept what belongs to others for exactly what it is, no one will ever compel you, no one will obstruct you, you will blame no one, you will accuse no one, you will do nothing against your will, no one will hurt you, you will have no enemies, and you will suffer no harm. Since you are aiming at such great things, remember that you must not allow yourself even the slightest inclination toward things that are not within your power. You must give up some of them entirely, and set the rest aside for now. But if you wish to have these things and possess power and wealth besides, you may miss the latter while seeking the former. You will certainly fail to obtain that which alone brings happiness and freedom. Therefore seek at once to be able to say to every troubling impression, "You are just an impression, not the thing itself." Then examine it by the principles you have, above all by this, whether it concerns something within your power or something that is not. And if it concerns anything beyond your power, be ready to say, "This is nothing to me." Chapter 2. Remember that desire demands the attainment of what you desire, and aversion demands the avoidance of what you are averse to. Whoever fails to get what they desire is disappointed, and whoever gets what they are averse to is wretched. If, then, you are averse only to things within your power that are contrary to nature, you will never incur anything you are averse to. But if you are averse to sickness, death, or poverty, you will be wretched. Remove aversion, then, from everything not within your power, and direct it only toward things within your power that are contrary to nature. For now, suppress desire entirely, for if you desire anything not within your power, you will inevitably be disappointed, and the things within your power that are worth desiring are not yet secure. Use only careful judgment, with gentleness and moderation, in pursuing or avoiding anything. Chapter 3. When it comes to anything that delights you, is useful to you, or that is tenderly beloved, remind yourself of what kind of thing it is, starting with the smallest matters. If you are fond of a cup, remind yourself that it is only a cup you are fond of, so that if it breaks, you can bear it. If you embrace your child or your wife, remind yourself that you are embracing a mortal, so that if either of them dies, you can bear it. Chapter 4. When you set about any action, remind yourself of what kind of action it is. If you are going to bathe, call to mind what typically happens at the baths. Some people pouring out, others pushing in, others scolding, others pilfering. You will go about it more safely if you say to yourself, "I will go to bathe, and I will keep my will in harmony with nature." And so with every other action. For if any impediment arises while bathing, you will be ready to say, "It was not only to bathe that I desired, but to keep my will in harmony with nature. And I cannot keep it so if I am irritated by what happens." Chapter 5. People are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of things. Thus, death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists in our notion of death, that it is terrible. When, therefore, we are hindered, disturbed, or grieved, let us never attribute it to others, but to ourselves, that is, to our own views. It is the action of an uninstructed person to reproach others for his own misfortunes, of one entering upon instruction to reproach himself, and of one perfectly instructed to reproach neither others nor himself. Chapter 6. Do not be elated at any excellence that is not your own. If a horse were to be elated and say, "I am handsome," that might be endurable. But when you are elated and say, I have a handsome horse. Know that you are elated only on the merit of the horse. What then is your own? The use of the phenomena of existence. So, when you are in harmony with nature in this respect, you will be elated with some reason, for you will be elated at some good of your own. Chapter 7. Just as in a voyage, when the ship is at anchor and you go ashore to get water, you may amuse yourself along the way by picking up a shellfish or a truffle. But your thoughts ought to be fixed on the ship, always attentive, lest the captain should call, and you must then leave all these things so as not to be carried on board bound like a sheep. So it is in life. If, instead of a truffle or a shellfish, something such as a wife or a child is granted to you, there is no objection. But if the captain calls, run to the ship, leave all these things, and never look back. And if you are old, never go far from the ship, lest you be missing when called for. Chapter 8. Do not demand that events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Chapter 9. Sickness is an impediment to the body, but not to the will, unless the will chooses to make it so. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. Say this to yourself with regard to everything that happens, for you will find that it is an impediment to something else, but not truly to yourself. Chapter 10. Upon every accident, remember to turn toward yourself and inquire what faculty you have for its use. If you encounter a handsome person, you will find that the faculty needed is self-restraint. If pain, then fortitude. If reviling, then patience. And when you are thus habituated, the phenomena of existence will not overwhelm you. Chapter 11. Never say of anything, I have lost it, but I have restored it. Has your child died? It is restored. Has your wife died? She is restored. Has your estate been taken away? That likewise is restored. But it was a bad man who took it. What is it to you by whose hands he who gave it has demanded it back? While he permits you to possess it, hold it as something not your own, as do travelers at an inn. Chapter 12. If you wish to improve, lay aside such reasonings as these. If I neglect my affairs, I shall have no income. If I do not punish my servant, he will be good for nothing. For it is better to die of hunger, free from grief and fear, than to live in affluence with perturbation. And it is better that your servant should be bad than that you should be unhappy. Begin, therefore, with little things. Is a little oil spilled or a little wine stolen? Say to yourself, this is the price paid for peace and tranquility, and nothing is to be had for nothing. And when you call your servant, consider that it is possible he may not come at your call, or, if he does, that he may not do what you wish. But it is not at all desirable for him, and very undesirable for you, that it should be in his power to cause you any disturbance. Chapter 13. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and dull with regard to externals. Do not desire to be thought to know anything, and though you should appear to others to be somebody, distrust yourself. For be assured, it is not easy at the same time to keep your will in harmony with nature and to secure externals. But while you are absorbed in the one, you must of necessity neglect the other. Chapter 14. If you wish your children and your wife and your friends to live forever, you are foolish, for you wish things to be in your power which are not so, and you wish what belongs to others to be your own. So likewise, if you wish your servant to be without fault, you are foolish, for you wish vice not to be vice, but something else. But if you wish not to be disappointed in your desires, that is in your own power. Exercise, therefore, what is in your power. A man's master is he who is able to confer or remove whatever that man seeks or shuns. Whoever, then, would be free, let him wish nothing and decline nothing that depends on others, else he must necessarily be a slave. Chapter 15. Remember that you must behave as at a banquet. Is anything brought round to you? Put out your hand and take a moderate share. Does it pass by you? Do not stop it. Is it not yet come? Do not yearn and desire toward it, but wait till it reaches you. So with regard to children, wife, office, and riches, and you will sometime or other be worthy to feast with the gods. And if you do not so much as take the things which are set before you, but are able even to forego them, then you will not only be worthy to feast with the gods, but to rule with them also. For, by thus doing, Diogenes and Heraclitus, and others like them, deservedly became divine, and were so recognized. Chapter 16. When you see anyone weeping for grief, either because his son has gone abroad, or because he has suffered in his affairs, take care not to be overcome by the apparent evil, but make the distinction and be ready to say, "What hurts this man is not this occurrence itself, for another man might not be hurt by it, but the view he chooses to take of it." As far as conversation goes, however, do not disdain to accommodate yourself to him, and, if need be, to groan with him. Take heed, however, not to groan inwardly too. Chapter 17. Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such kind as the author chooses. If it is short, then in a short one. If long, then in a long one. If it is his pleasure that you should play a poor man, or a cripple, or a ruler, or a private citizen, see that you play it well. For this is your business, to act well the given part, but to choose it belongs to another. Chapter 18. When a raven happens to croak unluckily, do not be overcome by appearances, but make the distinction and say, "Nothing is portended to me, either to my paltry body, or property, or reputation, or children, or wife. But to me all portents are lucky, if I will. For whatever happens, it is for me to derive advantage from it." Chapter 19. You can be unconquerable if you enter into no combat in which it is not in your own power to conquer. When, therefore, you see anyone eminent in honors or power, or in high esteem on any other account, take care not to be bewildered by appearances and to pronounce him happy. For if the essence of good consists in things within our own power, there will be no room for envy or emulation. But for your part, do not desire to be a general, or a senator, or a consul, but to be free. And the only way to this is a disregard of things which lie not within our own power. Chapter 20. Remember that it is not he who gives abuse or blows who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting. When therefore anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. Try therefore in the first place not to be bewildered by appearances, for if you once gain time and respite, you will more easily command yourself. Chapter 21. Let death and exile and all other things which appear terrible be daily before your eyes, but death chiefly, and you will never entertain an abject thought, nor too eagerly covet anything. Chapter 22. If you have an earnest desire toward philosophy, prepare yourself from the very first to have the multitude laugh and sneer, and say, "He has returned to us a philosopher all at once," and "Where does this haughty look come from?" Now for your part, do not have a haughty look indeed, but keep steadily to those things which appear best to you, as one appointed by God to this particular station. For remember that, if you are persistent, those very persons who at first ridiculed will afterwards admire you. But if you are conquered by them, you will incur a double ridicule. Chapter 23. If you ever happen to turn your attention to externals, for the pleasure of anyone, be assured that you have ruined your scheme of life. Be content, then, in everything, with being a philosopher. And if you wish to seem so likewise to anyone, appear so to yourself, and it will suffice you. Chapter 24. Let not such considerations as these distress you. I shall live in discredit, and be nobody anywhere. For if discredit is an evil, you can no more be involved in evil through another person than in baseness. Is it any business of yours, then, to get power, or to be admitted to an entertainment? By no means. How, then, after all, is this discredit? And how is it true that you will be nobody anywhere, when you ought to be somebody in those things only which are within your own power, in which you may be of the greatest consequence? But my friends will be unassisted. What do you mean by unassisted? They will not have money from you, nor will you make them Roman citizens. Who told you then that these are among the things within our own power, and not rather the affairs of others? And who can give to another what he himself does not have? Well, but get them then, that we too may have a share. If I can get them while preserving my own honor and fidelity and self-respect, show me the way and I will get them. But if you require me to lose my own proper good, so that you may gain what is no good, consider how unreasonable and foolish you are. Besides, which would you rather have, a sum of money or a faithful and honorable friend? Rather assist me then to gain this character, than require me to do those things by which I may lose it. But my country, say you, will be unassisted as far as I am concerned. Here again, what assistance do you mean? It will not have porticos or baths of your providing? And what of that? Neither does a smith provide it with shoes, nor a shoemaker with arms. It is enough if everyone fully performs his own proper business. And if you were to supply it with another faithful and honorable citizen, would he not be of use to it? Yes. Therefore neither are you yourself useless to it. What place then, say you, shall I hold in the state? Whatever you can hold while preserving your fidelity and honor. But if, in your desire to be useful to it, you lose these, how can you serve your country when you have become faithless and shameless? Chapter 25. Is anyone preferred before you at an entertainment, or in courtesies, or in confidential intercourse? If these things are good, you ought to rejoice that he has them. And if they are evil, do not be grieved that you do not have them. And remember that you cannot be permitted to rival others in externals without using the same means to obtain them. For how can he who will not haunt the door of any man, will not attend him, will not praise him, have an equal share with him who does these things? You are unjust, then, and unreasonable, if you are unwilling to pay the price for which these things are sold, and would have them for nothing. For how much are lettuces sold? An obulus, for instance. If another then, paying an obulus, takes the lettuces, and you, not paying it, go without them, do not imagine that he has gained any advantage over you. For as he has the lettuces, so you have the obulus which you did not give. So, in the present case, you have not been invited to such a person's entertainment, because you have not paid him the price for which a supper is sold. It is sold for praise. It is sold for attendance. Give him then the value, if it is for your advantage. But if you would, at the same time, not pay the one, and yet receive the other, you are unreasonable and foolish. Have you nothing, then, in place of the supper? Yes, indeed you have, not to praise him whom you do not like to praise, and not to bear the insolence of his lackeys. Chapter 26. The will of nature may be learned from things upon which we are all agreed. When our neighbor's boy has broken a cup or something of the kind, we are ready at once to say, "These are things that will happen." Be assured, then, that when your own cup is likewise broken, you ought to feel just as you did when another's cup was broken. Now apply this to greater things. Is the child or wife of another person dead? There is no one who would not say, "This is an accident of mortality." But if anyone's own child happens to die, it is immediately, "Alas, how wretched am I!" It should always be remembered how we feel on hearing the same thing concerning others. Chapter 27. As a target is not set up for the sake of missing it, so neither does the nature of evil exist in the world. Chapter 28. If a person had handed over your body to some passer-by, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to any reviler, to be disconcerted and confounded? Chapter 29. In every undertaking, consider what comes before and what follows, and only then begin. Otherwise, you will start with great enthusiasm, careless of the consequences, and when these become apparent, you will shamefully give up. I would conquer at the Olympic Games, but consider what comes before and what follows, and then, if it is still to your advantage, engage in it. You must conform to rules, submit to a diet, refrain from dainties. Exercise your body, whether you choose it or not, at a stated hour, in heat and cold. You must drink no cold water, and sometimes no wine. In short, you must give yourself up to your trainer as to a physician. Then, in the combat, you may be thrown into a ditch, dislocate your arm, turn your ankle, swallow an abundance of dust, be struck for negligence, and after all, lose the victory. When you have considered all of this, if your inclination still holds, then engage in the combat. Otherwise, you will find yourself behaving like children, who at one moment play at wrestlers, at another at gladiators, then blow a trumpet, then act a tragedy, whenever they happen to have seen and admired such shows. You too will be at one time a wrestler, at another a gladiator, now a philosopher, now an orator, but nothing in earnest. Like an ape you mimic all you see, and one thing after another is sure to please you, but falls out of favor as soon as it becomes familiar. For you have never entered upon anything with careful consideration, nor after having surveyed and tested the whole matter, but carelessly, and with only a halfway zeal. In this way, some, when they have seen a philosopher and heard a man speaking like Euphrates, though indeed who can speak like him, have a mind to be philosophers too. Consider first, man, what the matter is, and what your own nature is able to bear. If you would be a wrestler, look at your shoulders, your back, your thighs. For different persons are made for different things. Do you think that you can go on as you are and be a philosopher? That you can eat, drink, be angry, and be discontented, as you are now? You must keep watch, labor hard, overcome certain appetites, leave your acquaintances behind, be looked down upon by your servant, be laughed at by those you meet, come off worse than others in everything, in office, in honor, before the courts. When you have fully considered all of these things, approach, if you still choose to, that is, if by giving up these things you have a mind to gain serenity, freedom, and tranquility. If not, do not come near it. Do not, like children, be now a philosopher, then a tax collector, then an orator, then one of Caesar's officers. These things are not consistent. You must be one person, either good or bad. You must cultivate either your own reason or else externals. Apply yourself either to what is within you or to what is without. That is, be either a philosopher or one of the mob. Chapter 30. Duties are universally measured by relations. Is a certain man your father? In this are implied taking care of him, submitting to him in all things, patiently bearing his reproaches and his corrections. But he is a bad father. Is your natural tie, then, to a good father? No, but to a father. Is a brother unjust? Then preserve your own just relation toward him. Consider not what he does, but what you must do to keep your own will in a state conformable to nature. For another cannot hurt you unless you choose to be hurt. You will be hurt only when you consent to it. In this manner, if you accustom yourself to contemplate the relations of neighbor, citizen, and commander, you can deduce from each the corresponding duties. Chapter 31. Be assured that the essence of piety toward the gods lies in this: to form right opinions concerning them, as existing and as governing the universe justly and well. And fix yourself in this resolution to obey them, and yield to them, and willingly follow them in all events, as being ruled by the most perfect wisdom. For thus you will never find fault with the gods, nor accuse them of neglecting you. And it is not possible for this to come about in any other way than by withdrawing yourself from things not within our own power, and by making good or evil to consist only in those things which are within our power. For if you suppose any other things to be either good or evil, it is inevitable that when you are disappointed of what you wish, or incur what you would avoid, you should reproach and blame their authors. For every creature is naturally formed to flee and abhor things that appear hurtful, and the causes of them, and to pursue and admire those things that appear beneficial, and the causes of them. It is impossible, then, that a person who supposes himself to be hurt should rejoice in the one who, as he thinks, hurts him, just as it is impossible to rejoice in the hurt itself. Hence also a father is reviled by his son when he does not give him the things which seem to be good. And this made Polynices and Eteocles mutual enemies, that empire seemed good to both. On this account the farmer reviles the gods, as do the sailor, the merchant, and those who have lost a wife or child. For where our interest lies, there too is our piety directed. So that whoever is careful to regulate his desires and aversions as he ought, is thereby made careful of piety also. But it is also the duty of everyone to offer libations and sacrifices and first fruits, according to the customs of his country, with purity, and not carelessly or negligently, not avariciously, nor yet extravagantly. Chapter 32. When you consult a diviner, remember that you do not know what the outcome will be, and you have come to learn it from him. But of what nature it is, you already knew before coming, at least if you are of a philosophic mind. For if it is among things not within our own power, it can by no means be either good or evil. Do not therefore bring with you to the diviner either desire or aversion, for otherwise you will approach him trembling. Rather, first understand clearly that every outcome is indifferent and nothing to you, of whatever sort it may be, for it will be in your power to make right use of it, and no one can prevent this. Then come with confidence to the gods as your counselors, and afterwards, when any counsel is given you, remember whose counsel you have sought, and whose advice you will be neglecting if you disobey. Come to divination as Socrates prescribed, in cases where the whole matter turns on the outcome, and where no opportunity is afforded by reason or any other means to discover what lies ahead. When, therefore, it is your duty to share the danger of a friend or of your country, you ought not to consult the oracle as to whether you shall share it or not. For though the diviner should warn you that the omens are unfavorable, this means no more than that either death or mutilation or exile is portended. But we have reason within us, and it directs us, even with these hazards, to stand by our friend and our country. Attend therefore to the greater diviner, the Pythian god, who once cast out of the temple him who neglected to save his friend. Chapter 33. Begin by prescribing to yourself some character and manner of conduct, such as you may maintain both alone and in company. Be mostly silent, or speak only what is necessary, and in few words. On occasion, however, we may enter into conversation when the situation calls for it, but let it not run on common subjects such as gladiators, horse races, athletic champions, food, or drink, the ordinary topics of conversation, and especially not about people, so as to blame, praise, or make comparisons. If you are able, by your own conversation, bring the talk of your company to worthwhile subjects. But if you happen to find yourself among strangers, be silent. Do not let your laughter be loud, frequent, or abundant. Avoid taking oaths altogether if possible, at any rate as far as you are able. Avoid public and common entertainments, but if you are ever called to attend them, be on your guard not to slide imperceptibly into vulgarity. For be assured that if a person is ever so pure himself, yet if his companion is corrupted, he who associates with him will be corrupted likewise. Provide things for the body only so far as absolute necessity requires, such as food, drink, clothing, shelter, and household. Cut off everything that tends toward show and luxury. Before marriage, guard yourself with all your ability from unlawful intercourse with women. But be not uncharitable or harsh toward those who are led into it, nor boast often that you yourself do otherwise. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." It is not necessary for you to appear often at public spectacles, but if the occasion arises, do not appear to be concerned for anyone other than yourself. That is, wish only that things be as they are, and that the best man win, for in this way nothing will go against you. Abstain entirely from shouting and mockery and violent emotions, and when you leave, do not talk at length about what took place and what contributed nothing to your own improvement, for it would be clear from such talk that you were dazzled by the show. Do not be quick or eager to attend private recitations, but if you do attend, keep your gravity and dignity, and yet avoid making yourself disagreeable. When you are going to speak with anyone, and especially with one who seems your superior, picture to yourself how Socrates or Zeno would behave in such a case, and you will not be at a loss to deal properly with whatever may come up. When you go to visit someone in power, picture to yourself that you may not find him at home, that you may be shut out, that the doors may not be open to you, that he may not notice you. If with all this it is still your duty to go and bear whatever happens, and never say to yourself, "It was not worth so much," for this is vulgar, and like a man bewildered by externals. In company, avoid frequently and excessively mentioning your own actions and dangers, for however pleasant it may be to you to allude to the risks you have run, it is not equally pleasant for others to hear your adventures. Avoid likewise any attempt to make people laugh, for this may readily slide you into vulgarity, and besides, may be apt to lower you in the esteem of your acquaintance. Approaches to indecent discourse are likewise dangerous. When anything of this kind occurs, use the first opportunity to rebuke the one who leads the way, or at least, by silence and blushing and a serious look, show yourself to be displeased by such talk. Chapter 34. If you are dazzled by the appearance of any promised pleasure, guard yourself against being carried away by it. But let the matter wait upon your leisure, and allow yourself some delay. Then bring to mind both points of time, that in which you will enjoy the pleasure, and that in which you will repent and reproach yourself after you have enjoyed it, and set against these how you will rejoice and commend yourself if you abstain. And even though it should seem to you a fitting gratification, take care that its enticements and allurements and seductions do not overcome you. But set against this how much better it is to be conscious of having won so great a victory. Chapter 35. When you do anything from a clear judgment that it ought to be done, never shrink from being seen to do it, even though the world should misunderstand it. For if you are not acting rightly, shun the action itself. If you are, why fear those who wrongly censure you? Chapter 36. As the proposition, either it is day or it is night, has much force in a disjunctive argument, but none at all in a conjunctive one. So, at a feast, to choose the largest share is very suitable to the bodily appetite, but utterly inconsistent with the social spirit of the entertainment. Remember then, when you eat with another, not only the value to the body of those things which are set before you, but also the value of proper courtesy toward your host. Chapter 37. If you have assumed any character beyond your strength, you have both demeaned yourself ill in that, and quitted one which you might have supported. Chapter 38. As in walking you take care not to tread upon a nail, or turn your foot, so likewise take care not to hurt the ruling faculty of your mind. And if we were to guard against this in every action, we should enter upon action more safely. Chapter 39. The body is to everyone the proper measure of its possessions, as the foot is of the shoe. If therefore you stop at this, you will keep the measure. But if you move beyond it, you must necessarily be carried forward, as down a precipice. As in the case of a shoe, if you go beyond its fitness to the foot, it comes first to be gilded, then purple, and then studded with jewels. For to that which once exceeds the fit measure, there is no bound. Chapter 40. Women from the age of 14 are flattered by men with the title of mistress. Therefore, perceiving that they are valued only as qualified to give men pleasure, they begin to adorn themselves, and in that to place all their hopes. It is worthwhile, therefore, to make every effort that they may perceive themselves honored only so far as they appear beautiful in their demeanor and modestly virtuous. Chapter 41. It is a mark of want of intellect to spend much time in things relating to the body, as to be immoderate in exercises, in eating and drinking, and in the discharge of other bodily functions. These things should be done incidentally, and our main strength be applied to our reason. Chapter 42. When any person wrongs you or speaks ill of you, remember that he acts or speaks from an impression that it is right for him to do so. Now, it is not possible that he should follow what appears right to you, but only what appears so to himself. Therefore, if he judges from false appearances, he is the person hurt, since he too is the person deceived. For if anyone takes a true proposition to be false, the proposition is not hurt, but only the man is deceived. Setting out then from these principles, you will meekly bear with a person who reviles you, for you will say upon every occasion, "It seems so to him." Chapter 43. Everything has two handles, one by which it may be borne, another by which it cannot. If your brother acts unjustly, do not lay hold on the affair by the handle of his injustice, for by that it cannot be borne, but rather by the opposite, that he is your brother, that he was brought up with you, and thus you will lay hold on it as it is to be borne. Chapter 44. These reasonings have no logical connection. I am richer than you, therefore I am your superior. I am more eloquent than you, therefore I am your superior. The true logical connection is rather this: I am richer than you, therefore my possessions must exceed yours. I am more eloquent than you, therefore my style must surpass yours. But you, after all, consist neither in property nor in style. Chapter 45. Does anyone bathe hastily? Do not say that he does it ill, but hastily. Does anyone drink much wine? Do not say that he does ill, but that he drinks a great deal. For unless you perfectly understand his motives, how should you know if he acts ill? Thus you will not risk yielding to any appearances but such as you fully comprehend. Chapter 46. Never proclaim yourself a philosopher, nor make much talk among the ignorant about your principles, but show them by actions. Thus, at an entertainment, do not discourse how people ought to eat, but eat as you ought. For remember that thus Socrates also universally avoided all ostentation. And when persons came to him and desired to be introduced by him to philosophers, he took them and introduced them. So well did he bear being overlooked. So if ever there should be among the ignorant any discussion of principles, be for the most part silent. For there is great danger in hastily throwing out what is undigested. And if anyone tells you that you know nothing, and you are not nettled at it, then you may be sure that you have really entered on your work. For sheep do not hastily throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten, but, inwardly digesting their food, they produce it outwardly in wool and milk. Thus, therefore, do you not make an exhibition before the ignorant of your principles, but of the actions to which their digestion gives rise. Chapter 47. When you have learned to nourish your body frugally, do not pride yourself upon it, nor, if you drink water, be saying upon every occasion, I drink water. But first consider how much more frugal are the poor than we, and how much more patient of hardship. If at any time you would accustom yourself by exercise to labor and privation, for your own sake and not for show, do not attempt great feats. But when you are violently thirsty, just rinse your mouth with water and tell nobody. Chapter 48. The condition and characteristic of a common person is that he never looks for either help or harm from himself, but only from externals. The condition and characteristic of a philosopher is that he looks to himself for all help or harm. The marks of one making progress are that he censures no one, praises no one, blames no one, accuses no one, says nothing concerning himself as being anybody or knowing anything. When he is in any instance hindered or restrained, he accuses himself, and if he is praised, he smiles to himself at the person who praises him. And if he is censured, he makes no defense. But he goes about with the caution of a convalescent, careful of interference with anything that is doing well, but not yet quite secure. He restrains desire. He transfers his aversion to those things only which thwart the proper use of our own will. He employs his energies moderately in all directions. If he appears stupid or ignorant, he does not care. And, in a word, he keeps watch over himself as over an enemy and one in ambush. Chapter 49. When anyone shows himself vain on being able to understand and interpret the works of Chrysippus, say to yourself, unless Chrysippus had written obscurely, this person would have had nothing to be vain of. But what do I desire? To understand nature and follow her. I ask then, who interprets her? And hearing that Chrysippus does, I have recourse to him. I do not understand his writings. I seek therefore one to interpret them. So far there is nothing to value myself upon. And when I find an interpreter, what remains is to make use of his instructions. This alone is the valuable thing. But if I admire merely the interpretation, what do I become more than a grammarian instead of a philosopher, except, indeed, that instead of Homer, I interpret Chrysippus. When anyone, therefore, desires me to read Chrysippus to him, I rather blush when I cannot exhibit actions that are harmonious and consonant with his discourse. Chapter 50. Whatever rules you have adopted, abide by them as laws, and as if you would be impious to transgress them. And do not regard what anyone says of you, for this, after all, is no concern of yours. How long, then, will you delay to demand of yourself the noblest improvements, and in no instance to transgress the judgments of reason? You have received the philosophic principles with which you ought to be conversant, and you have been conversant with them. For what other master, then, do you wait as an excuse for this delay in self-reformation? You are no longer a boy, but a grown man. If, therefore, you will be negligent and slothful, and always add procrastination to procrastination, purpose to purpose, and fix day after day in which you will attend to yourself, you will insensibly continue to accomplish nothing, and, living and dying, remain of vulgar mind. This instant, then, think yourself worthy of living as a man grown up and a proficient. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law, and if any instance of pain or pleasure, glory or disgrace be set before you, remember that now is the combat, now the Olympiad comes on, nor can it be put off, and that by one failure and defeat honor may be lost or won. Thus Socrates became perfect, improving himself by everything, following reason alone. And though you are not yet a Socrates, you ought, however, to live as one seeking to be a Socrates. Chapter 51. The first and most necessary topic in philosophy is the practical application of principles, as, we ought not to lie. The second is that of demonstrations, as, why it is that we ought not to lie. The third, that which gives strength and logical connection to the other two, as, why is this a demonstration? For what is demonstration? What is a consequence? What a contradiction? What truth? What falsehood? The third point is then necessary on account of the second, and the second on account of the first. But the most necessary, and that whereon we ought to rest, is the first. But we do just the contrary. For we spend all our time on the third point, and employ all our diligence about that, and entirely neglect the first. Therefore, at the same time that we lie, we are very ready to show how it is demonstrated that lying is wrong. Upon all occasions we ought to have these maxims ready at hand. Lead me, Zeus, and thou, O destiny, wherever your decrees have fixed my lot. I follow cheerfully, and did I not, wicked and wretched, I must follow still. Whoever yields properly to fate is deemed wise among men, and knows the laws of heaven. And this third, O Crito, if it thus pleases the gods, thus let it be. Anytus and Miletus may kill me indeed, but hurt me they cannot. You have been listening to The Enchiridion by Epictetus. Copyright Alien. All rights reserved.